This is Leicester Till I Die TV. Watch and subscribe on YouTube and listen on your podcast platform.
Hi everybody, Jerry Taggart here. Now be sure to watch Chris and Leicester Till I Die TV by subscribing on YouTube and following them on social media for all the latest Leicester City news and information. Come on you foxes!
Strap yourself in because we're set up, switched on and ready to go. Seven, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1.
And it's live.
Wembley, Wembley, we're the famous Leicester City and we're going to Wembley. I tell you what, it sounds better when you got 30-odd thousand people singing it with you. I'm not sure how bad that came off. I think we've just lost anybody that was in the chat there. We've just lost everything's happening today. Yeah, we're going. Hey, how do you feel? Southampton, Man City, Chelsea and Leicester City semi-finals of the FA Cup, Wembley. Yeah, bring it on. And we've got Southampton in the next round. And I'm not saying, I am saying be careful what you wish for, but it's our first semi-final since 1982. Wow. Hey, how happy are you? Is this what?
Yes! Oh, God. Oh, I'll have what she's having.
I think we'll all have what she's having. And I'll tell you what she was having. She was watching Leicester beat Man United 3-1. What a result. This is the post-match show, and you're going to watch me and Brad. And let's have a look.
You are watching and listening to the post-match show on Leicester Till I Die TV with Chris and Chums.
You are indeed, and we are on live on YouTube, Leicester Till I Die TV. Please, please, please give us a subscribe. We're on Facebook, the group, and we're on at Leicester TID on the old Twitter. And we want to hear your comments. We want to hear your views. Let's get a few comments in. Facebook user, fantastic game. Facebook user, well done LCFC. If you are just not going to log in to StreamYard, not a problem. Just stick your name at the end and I can give you a shoot-out. What a win today. Midfield, fantastic. They were fantastic across the board, 1 to 10. Andy Stewart had great game, great result. The boys were absolutely class today. Bring on Southampton. Yes, I know. I don't know if you saw, we did a watch along today with the show, and Josh said, we are talking Leicester City here. We'll probably go now and lose to Southampton. But hey, it'd be nice. Semi-final at Wembley against Southampton, 9-10-0. I know. I'm off on one. I'm absolutely buzzing. Can you tell? Let's see if my co-host is buzzing or not. And we'll bring him in and say, hello, Brad. You must be buzzing today.
I am, mate, because I had 3-1 Leicester as well. So I'm happy with that because I got the prediction. I got some money for that. So that's worked out in my favour. And, yeah, I'm just enjoying it. It's not sunk in yet, really. I know it might sound silly because it's only in semi-finals, but
hey,
to get there and be at Wembley one way or,
It doesn't sound stupid at all, because I mean, this is just the sort of season, we're having. I mean, we went this far last season. Man United, they've got to, win a cup. They're saying that's, what Ollie's got to do possibly to save his job. He got to 3 semis, but that's Man United. We've gone one better than last year. It's progression. And I tell you what, I was so glad that it was the Leicester team that came out, was the Leicester team that we know that can play, not the Leicester team that played Wolves, that played Fulham, West Ham. It was a performance, wasn't it?
Yeah, it was. It was a collective effort from all around the pitch. There wasn't too much to note that you could really pinpoint out as that had a bad moment in the game. I mean, even their goal you could excuse because it's just one of them. If I don't know if Greenwood made a very loud shout and got heard, and that's how it's ended up with him. Because if not, I don't think he was doing anything with the ball if he takes it on. And we handled that well as well, because I think that's probably something that Leicester fans will be looking for in the near future. Is we've got to start doing that with these sort of sides on a constant basis. And
I mean, I actually was really hoping that Julian Watts. I mean, Julian had the jab yesterday, and apparently he took 3 medics and a guy with a bucket and sponge along with him. He's not coming today at the moment, so he said he was fine. He said he was coming in, so he may join us in a bit. But I wanted to ask him, because when you look at that goal that they scored, their one goal, I was very, very negative with Julian's coming in. Julian, great. Julian is coming in. So let me add Julian in, because I do want to add him in, because I want to actually get a defender's point of view from this. So let me just bring Julian in. Good evening, Julian.
Sorry, I'm late.
It's okay. We said that the man with the bucket still looking after you after your jab last night yesterday. What a win, Julian. We're going to be joined by Man United fans soon, hopefully. So that could be interesting. Hey, what a fantastic win. I mean, even Brad's happy, and something's gone wrong because it's gone well if Brad's happy.
Yeah, listen, I thought it was a perfect performance. I'm hoping that we've scored 10 out of 10 for the team and the manager. Thought everything that they did was spot on at the right time, and before I couldn't fault anyone's performance today. It was absolutely fantastic.
I'm glad you came in, because I did want to ask you this one thing, and I was about to ask Brad it, but you're here now, so forgive me, Brad. It is a defender's point. The goal that Man United got, why did Soyuncu turn his back on him? Because the ball was coming towards Soyuncu. He went to the side like that, which is the smallest part of the body, and the ball literally looked like it just went past his back. If he'd stayed in that position, it would hit him on the chest and it would have gone out. I mean, it didn't matter at the end of the day because we went on to win, but why? I mean, why do players do that? Sure, as a defender, isn't your job is to just throw yourself in front of the ball?
It is. It's a personal thing, and it's taught to you in training, day after day, match after match, never turn your back. And it's just one of those things where they think they're gonna get one in the face and they turn their back, and it always looks terrible when it leads to something, and it looked terrible today. Probably one of the few negatives of the performance, but it is a thing that it's just about bravery, if I'm honest, and it normally looks like a brave player, but it's that I don't really want to cop one in the face, chest, or whatever it is, and I'm just going to turn around and it's going to hit me on the backside. So yeah, really poor. And like I say, when it leads to something, it magnifies it, and it looks absolutely awful. But as a player, all players, defenders, whatever, always say, do not turn your back on the ball. And unfortunately, he did, and it cost us, but didn't cost us at the end of the day, which is a great thing.
We were saying during the watch-alongs, we did a live watch-along, Brad, you couldn't imagine Wasilewski doing that.
No, you probably couldn't. He probably would have tackled Mason Greenwood to the floor with his bare hands, but that's for a different side of Wasilewski. But certainly as a defender, Wasilewski would have stood there chest out and it'd look like a brick wall. he was hitting when he did it.
Yeah.
But like Julian said, it was one of the very few things that you're nitpicking at on the negative side of what was really, in a word, in a couple of words, workhorse. That was a workhorse performance from the squad, from the back to the front, and it was probably one of the few times against Manchester United you've come in at half time and gone, we shouldn't be behind. We shouldn't be level. We shouldn't be level. Sorry, we shouldn't be level. We should be winning this game, and it's nice to see. Definitely nice going forward.
Would you agree with this, Julian? Top performance from the boys. Yes, I think we would agree with that. We're just going back to Bookline. Good evening, everybody that's joining us. Thanks for doing that. Bookline said their most impressive performance of the year, possibly because of what the game was.
Yeah, I agree with it totally. All I felt, I mean, when you have the most impressive performance of the year, everything has to go right for you, and that includes the opposition coming up and thinking that they can come into our backyard with a slightly weakened team, and absolutely they got what they deserved. So everything has to go for you. The opposition, what we do, I really did find it a perfect performance. Like I say, when Manchester United equalised, I thought, God, that's so against the run of play and the work we put in. And I really, it was like so disappointing as a fan rather than looking at anyone in the team to fault. It was just like, we've dominated this game from start to finish. We're beating them ends up in every single department. So to concede, and it really was a nothing goal against us. It was terrible, but I think we showed the resolve that we've got and that we've showed of late with lots of injuries, some tricky performances and opposition. We showed that we've got a little bit more in the locker than maybe, I thought we had 6 months ago, and we came back. And what really pleased me was that after we scored the second goal, we continued for a short spell to dominate the game, which, you can score a goal, get 2-1 in front, think, oh, we've done it, have a bit of a breather, and then you can invite the pressure back on you. And I thought we had a really nice 10, 15-minute period, I think, after the second goal, and we still went on and dominated the game. And for me, that showed everything that we needed to see today.
Yeah. Andrew has made the comment here, just a shame no fans will experience Wembley. But I do believe if we get to the final, we might be able to allow to have 20,000 there. Who knows? But then again, that might just be taken up with FA bigwigs and club chairman. Who knows? Tony's made the point here. Chris Vardy was taken off before Inacho. You couldn't take Inacho off today. Sorry, you had to leave him on. Brad, I want to ask you, because I made this point before. I watched the Man United Milan game, and that obviously helped us because they looked at times like they were running in mud, and Jane has said that on the commentary. But Pogba, he came on midweek. He played 45 minutes and man of the match. He turned that game in United's favour. Yeah, he scored the goal, but he literally bossed that second half. And I made the point there that you don't know what Pogba is going to turn up. We didn't get that Pogba today, thank God. Taken off. You
know exactly what Pogba you're getting every week, and it all depends on if the transfer window's open or it's a big enough game in his eyes. And he does not see a quarter-final in the FA Cup as a big enough game. He saw playing AC Milan as a big challenge, and he steps up. Yeah. That is Paul Pogba in a nutshell. I'm not disputing the lad's got talent. I'm not. But Paul Pogba in a nutshell at Manchester United is, when he throws his toys out the pram, you might get a run of games from him. But it's convenient now. His run of games come in January, August, and in a big game like AC Milan.
Yeah.
Because Manchester United fans won't come on here saying they put out a side hoping to see Leicester batter them and not bother with the cup, because they wanted to win this, the fans today, and he doesn't turn up for them from a neutral's point of view anyway.
There was a point I made that you just didn't know. I think that Pogba today was the one that went out on the pitch and went, I'm not really up for this today. And it showed.
Did his job for AC, he did his job against AC Milan. That was it. He did his job against AC Milan. He didn't need to really do it today. That'll hold him in good stead in his mind for 3 or 4 weeks.
Yeah. Andy, I don't know where this Inacho has been since he arrived. Maybe that's the latest Leicester City merchandise, the new book. Where's Nacho? if we can get him in a blue and white hoop top, we can have a Where's Nacho game. Julian, again, and I love having the ex-players on here, and as always, thank you for joining us, because I do like to see your perspective from this. 4 substitutes from Man United all at the same time. That threw me out because I forgot you could have extra ones in the FA Cup, but 4 substitutes. As a player on the pitch, and you're watching a manager make that many changes, surely it's got to put a spoke in the rhythm of the team, because it's not just one at a time and he gets bedded in and brings somebody else in. But surely it sends out a negative vibe to the players that stay on the pitch.
Yeah, if I'd have been playing today and saw that, I would have absolutely loved it as a Leicester player, because it just says that they've had no answers to what we've been doing so far. They're struggling in the game. They need to try and get a foothold in the game. They're not quite sure how to do that. And then throwing 4 players into the mix, which, like you say, absolutely ruins any sort of rhythm that they might have had. For me, it was like sheer desperation. And if it had worked for him, we'd have been calling him a genius now. But it was more desperate for me. And like I say, as I saw it unfold, I thought, great, he really hasn't got the answers to what he can do to combat what we're doing on the pitch. So that was a massive, massive positive for me. And on the other side, I thought the subs that we made were perfect, absolutely the perfect time.
I mean, we said, Brad, on the pre-match show that this was probably... just before I go on to that, I'm not sure, Julian, do you remember Richard Smith? Was he around at the same time as you?
I hope not, because I don't remember him. I am famously terrible with names and faces. So if I saw someone, I'd probably say I know him, but I can't remember his name. So apologies.
I've got my notes here. The reason I asked was because I think you played. You were at Leicester from 96 to 98. He was at Leicester from 88 to 96. So you probably passed each other. Yes. I'll send him your best. But
thank
you. you were probably walking out in as he was walking out.
Absolutely.
But I forgot what my question was going to be now to Brad. So looking at the game, I mean, we've been I've been very critical of Nacho and Perez, etc. But yes, he got 2 goals, but Nacho's all-round performance again. You can't not play him, can you? Now that's what I was going to say. Is when you looked at our team and you say, "Oh yeah, that's a really strong team he's put out." In fairness, it was the only team he could put out because we had no other striking options on the bench. And when you looked at their bench, and bless them, you looked at our bench, and no disrespect to our subs, there were worlds apart. But he'd gone for the win first. A little bit unlike Brendan, because usually, he likes to bring the players on later. But he's gone with his strongest team, and then, as Julian said, the subs were made to hold on to what we'd got.
Yeah, it was just like a great all-round performance. Like Julian said earlier, it was probably the most perfect 10 performance we've had all season. I'd argue it's probably up there with the Man City one for a perfect 10 performance to a man in Iheanacho. In the last 3-4 weeks, he's been in the side on a consistent. I think we found the problem. I think we've solved the problem in Iheanacho a little bit there, because he looks to the way he played today was like nothing Leicester have seen before from Iheanacho. I know we've seen snippets of him here and there when he's been in and out the side, but it just shows that consistency is all that guy needed in a goal. Because today he was getting everywhere, he was making passes. He deserves his 2 goals and he deserves the man of the match for me today, which I believe he got given to him, because for all the stick he's taken, and Perez was good today. I'll hold my hands up and say that as well. Chris, I'm not going to be diverse myself. And I think for them too, even though Perez didn't get a goal today and wasn't as clinical as he was against Sheffield United when he had his chances, he still played well. And them two have shown great character, as Brendan's favourite word is to use, to come back and play as well as they've been doing, and it's really good to see.
Julian, you're going to wonder how Barnes and Maddison are going to get back into this first team.
Yeah, I mean, for me, the thing with Iniacho, and I will say now that I think all three of us have criticised, Perez and Iniacho, but quite rightly so, because at the times they haven't performed to the levels that we expect as Leicester City fans. But for right now, this formation, and it's very unconventional in the modern game to have two strikers. It's really suiting us now, and it's really suiting Kalichi. He is thriving in this environment, and I think I said after the Sheffield United game, Perez had a great game, and Wood will be able to still use that formation and use him in that number 10 role against a better team. And we've shown today that Brendan's gone with the same team, basically, and he has done. We have absolutely dominated a game today with two, not only one, with normally a one striker. We've had two strikers on the pitch and a classic number 10 in Perez, who actually worked back and got in when he needed to. So, obviously Maddison and Barnes will be welcome back when they come back, and they are going to fit in somewhere. Probably a bit more difficult for Barnes in the fact that, he's a wide player, and we're now playing with this 10 and 2 strikers. But undoubtedly, they're going to find the places in that. But the formation and the team for me is picking itself. And even though we say, we didn't really have much choice in the strongest team today, it really bodes well in the last two performances for me, how it's all sort of knitted together perfectly. So, and obviously we're going to welcome those guys back in like we did Pratt today, who came in, like I say, and contributed to the performance.
Yeah, let's just have a look at some comments here. Mark, good evening, Mark. Thank you for joining us. Evening, lads. Great second half performance from the off. Indeed, you lack a Rolls Royce in midfield. Very happy tonight. I'm sure Mrs. Chorner will be so glad to hear that. Tony Cover, so glad the Vardy miss didn't cost us. He snatched at it when composure was required. Personally, I think he's just on what is a striker that's just. He needs one to go in off his backside, to be honest with you. Sheffield hit the post there. We was close. It will come back. It will come back. CH, well played Leicester, by far the better side. A class from a Leeds fan. Well, thank you, CH. Coming from a Leeds fan, it means twice as much. It's appreciated that. Andy Stewart, and not the Andy Stewart from Scotland, I don't think. Man United wanted the win. Going without a trophy this season is a huge no-no for them. I know they're still in Europe, but I think that the FA Cup was a must for them. David Gamble, where have you gone, David? It just jumped on me then, so I'm playing catch-up here. David Gamble here, told you we would win. We did. Do you have the lottery numbers by any chance, David? Just post them. I won't put them in the screen. I'll keep them to myself. But if you've got them, just post them there. Andy Medhurst, we're going to Wembley. You can't beat a good semi. Is that true, fellas? It's been so long for me. We'll move on. Andy Medhurst, and that was the one. Fantastic win. Andy Medhurst here. Indeed, he was unbelievable. And Max Pickering, agreed, Brad. What difference in his confidence, and couldn't have come at a better time. Scott, it's great to see the link-up play and the work ethic from Vardy and Nacho, but I'm going to have humble pie, as Perez actually did well. There's a lot of the old humble pie going round here. This threesome produces goals that are more reliable. The Barnes-Maddison combo seems to involve more luck than chaos. Whew, that's a bit. I disagree with that. Today they were brilliant. Yes, they were. Luke, good evening. Fantastic win tonight. And the Dugout Football Channel, good evening. Congratulations, totally deserved this evening. And that's an Everton fan. Thanks a lot, mate. I really do appreciate that. Talking about fans from opposition clubs, we are going to invite, and I've got to say, before we go any further, I am going to give this guy a huge shout out, because we're going to have a Man United fan come in, and I think the fact that he's going to come on the channel straight after that, I am going to give him, I've said that, I don't know what he's going to say yet, but I'm going to give him credit for actually coming on. So I'm going to say, good evening, Keane. How are you feeling after that?
Not good at all. Not good. But look, absolutely fair play to Leicester today. Look, I think they were massively better team today. well more organised. I think they dominated the midfield today. I think Leicester were the much more dominant team today. Ndidi and Tielemans in that midfield absolutely bossed us. And look, there's no excuses for me from a Manchester United point of view. The Leicester simply wanted it more today. And look, I think at the end of the day, as a United fan, you have to own up and admit that. And I think, to all things considered, Leicester were the much better team today, and like there's no excuses from my side anyway in terms of looking at our performance today, because we're simply the second best.
Keane, we spoke the other night. Obviously, I was on your show, and I mentioned Pogba, and I said, he was absolutely amazing against AC Milan when he came on in that second half. He turned the game for you, but I did say you don't know if that Pogba's going to turn up. And we mentioned this before, didn't we, Brad? You just don't know which Pogba is going to walk over that white line. And it wasn't that Pogba today, was it? It was the old Pogba that just couldn't seem to give a damn.
Yeah, he looked absolutely knackered, to be fair. Every time he got the ball, he was very laboured, and he didn't do much at all. But I think that's more down to the players that are around him. I thought Matic and Fred done him no favours in terms of service and getting the ball into him, because Pogba was meant to be playing in a much more advanced position today in terms of playing off the left and kind of playing on the left-hand side of the field. But they didn't get the ball to him, and he kept having to drop deep, and he was running all over the shop, and he was kind of running around like a headless chicken. And you see when he came off, he looked absolutely knackered. But yeah, I agree, it wasn't his best game. But Ollie said in his press conference on Friday that he wasn't fit to start the game. But why start him then? I think that's, you have to call that into question though for the manager. If you're saying in the press conference on a Friday that he's not fit to start a game, then why start someone? It doesn't make sense. But look, it's just one of them things. You have to kind of dust yourself off. You move on, and hopefully he can pick up his fitness over the international break now, because he has a couple of games to play in France, and hopefully he can play himself into a bit of form and a bit of match fitness.
A quick question from Andy here, and then I'm going to come to Brad, because I know Brad's got a question for you. Indeed, he took his shorts off and Fred fell out of his pocket. You've got a question for Keane, haven't you, Brad?
Yeah, I feel a bit bad now because he's been such a humble guest and he's come on. I feel bad about this, but I've got to ask. I'm not sure how Iheanacho scores that second goal when he's got 80 million worth of player in his back pocket. That was a very good goal. You have to give him credit for that header, because he escaped with Maguire after that game, didn't he? I think
Harry Maguire, that decision, in terms of that, when you see a player pressing your holding midfield player, this has been a common theme at Man United this season. We've tried to play through a press when we don't have centre backs capable of doing that. Harry Maguire has been making that mistake this season. Lindelof's been doing the same. And you see Iheanacho. The thing is, Harry Maguire is a centre back. You can see the whole game in front of you. You can see who's tracking your holding midfielder. You can see who's going at your fullbacks. It's baffling that he passed that ball to Fred when he knows, number one, Fred isn't capable to be on the ball, and also you see a striker behind him in Iheanacho who is clinical and who can, has a good scoring record against Manchester United. Also with Leicester, but also at Manchester City as well. He bagged a few of us for City as well. So, I think you have to look at that and call Maguire's decision making into question there. 80 million Great British pounds. That's baffling when you look at a decision like that. You don't see a Virgil van Dijk, or you don't see any other top centre half, or Ruben Diaz, or anyone like that in the Premier League, or a Fofana, or anyone like that. If you see your midfielders under pressure, and you see that a striker is coming behind them, you play over the press. You don't play through the press. I think that's been a common theme for United this season. We need to start playing over the press, because playing through it seems to be coming to our detriment this year.
Julian, have you got a question at all for Keane?
No, all I'd say, Keane, is what's the opinion of, I suppose, the Man United fans towards the manager? I mean, he came in, had that unbelievable run, and then after that, there was the other side of it where it wasn't such great, but he seems to have rallied round, although I feel like a lot of the performances, particularly early on in the season, where they just had the real players to pull them out when you were conceding first, but you'd still managed to get over the line at the end of it. And then it really dragged them up the league. But I do feel now like they are looking a bit more like an accomplished Man United side they would see historically. But what's the sort of fans' view on the manager now? Are they happy with him, or,
I think, look, I'll be honest with you guys. The Manchester United fan base is so split on Ole Gunnar Solskjaer. It's unbelievable. Half the United fans are religiously Ollie out. The other side of United fans are religiously Ollie in. They're just like cults, really. But you have to look at the situation at the moment with Ollie. I think the jury's still out on his tenure at the moment, because you have to consider, if he gets second place this season and he won a trophy, that would have been considered progress. Obviously on last season finishing third. Obviously season 4 that he finished 6th in the table. So I think like the jury's still out on his tenure. I think he has to try to cement that second place, and he has to win the Europa League now. It's like Europa League or bust, because Leicester are on our tails for that second place. Chelsea are also playing well. I think Ollie, that Europa League now is so important for him. Like if he doesn't win a trophy, and God forbid this doesn't happen, but if he doesn't finish in the top 4, the Glazers will make a business decision and they'll sack him. But I think what Ollie's done in his tenure, he's done very well to make certain players better. I think Marcus Rashford has come on leaps and bounds since Ollie came in. Under Jose Mourinho, like he was robbed of 2 years of his development there. And you've seen since Ollie's come in, like Marcus Rashford's numbers have gone up tenfold in the last 2-3 years under Ollie. Luke Shaw, like he looked like he was devoid of kind of any confidence after that leg break. He comes back from a tragic leg break, and Jose Mourinho kind of killed his confidence, slagging him about his weight in the media, basically saying anytime Luke Shaw had a good performance, it was Mourinho's, reason why. That's why he's going through a good form. But then since Ollie's came in, Luke Shaw has quickly become one of the best left backs in England. He's after getting called back into the England squad. Luke Shaw has been very progressive this year. I think other than Bruno Fernandes, I think Luke Shaw's probably been our best player this season. Yeah. So there are certain aspects Ollie's improved. But when you take an overall view this season in terms of where his flaws are like in terms of our coaching staff. I think you look at the types of goals United are conceding this season. We're conceding the same type of goal, either from zonal marking at a corner as we've seen today, and also playing out from the back. And we haven't rectified it, and we're in March. So you'd have to call into consideration what we're doing from a coaching aspect for in regards to that, because Kieran McKenna is our defensive coach, and we're conceding the same type of goal, all season. You'd have to call that into question,
Did we as Leicester, just correct me if I'm wrong, and I'm not very awful, we scored from a free kick and we scored from a corner, didn't we?
Well, yeah.
I mean, in one game, that's more than we managed with those over the season put together. But I jest with you because it's not been our strong point. But Brookline said this earlier. De Gea would have saved one of those 3 goals. Do you think so?
I think Henderson's, the way he came out for the first goal, probably done himself a disservice trying to go with his leg there. But I'm not going to be too harsh on him because he's been done very well since he's come in. I think David De Gea has been massively, very poor for large parts of this season. He's cost us a lot of points. So I don't know if I'd agree with that because, he's made his fair share of mistakes this season.
Yeah. And I'll let you go in a minute, but I'm just going to say, then we can talk about you. we can pull Man United to bits when you're not here. But like Brad said, we're guilty doing it because you've been very, very nice about Leicester. And you were very nice on the show, in fairness. Leicester against Southampton, Chelsea, Man City. Who do you see the final between?
Well, Leicester are beating Southampton anyway. Like, it was the battle of the 9-0 teams who was going to go through and beat Southampton. Like, both teams beaten.
That's what I said. We wouldn't have known.
Literally, when the draw was made at half time, I was on another channel. I was on a watch along, and the draw was made, and I said, "Geez, it's the battle of 9-0 now. Whoever gets through, Southampton are guaranteed to lose." So I think Leicester should win there. I'm praying to God Chelsea beat Manchester City, because if Manchester City go on and win the FA Cup, and it's very possible they could win the Champions League as well, it'll kill me to see them win the treble. It would kill me to see them see us then do the same thing as us. But look, I think if Brendan Rodgers has done a fantastic job at Leicester, I pointed this out to you the other night, Chris. I think what he's done in terms of living within his means at Leicester, in terms he hasn't gone out and made marquee signings. He's went in and coaching has been a massive thing. He's coached his team massively. You see what his vision is, and loads of players are massively drilled. And what your football club is doing as a whole in terms of selling players for big transfer fees, but then bringing in better players for lesser money, and then bring them in for a system that works. It's not short remarkable. And Phil Brown from Beyond the Pitch said it on my podcast the other night. From what they've done since from the owners, and then obviously, though, when you tragically lost your owner, they've maintained that. Leicester have maintained that, and they've gone on and continued that legacy and built. And like, I think Leicester are here to stay as a top 4 team. And I think there has to be a conversation happening very soon. Like, when we talked about the broadcasters labeling Spurs and Arsenal as part of the Big Six when they haven't won a league in such a long time, and Leicester are now consistently in the top 4 longer than both Spurs and Arsenal. The conversation has to be made soon that Leicester become part of this like so-called Big Six, because they're doing so well and they've been progressive since 2016. You have to call that into question. I think Leicester have to be in that conversation.
Talking about selling players and buying improvements in. Again, I said the other night, thanks very much for the 80 million. But
we had our pants pulled down there.
It never gets old. It never gets boring. It always makes me laugh. Quickly, just before I let you go here, Rob's asking, would you buy Fofana? I'm guessing the answer to that would be a yes, wouldn't it?
It is a yes, but I think if we're paying 80 for Harry Maguire, we paying probably about 90 or 100 for Fofana, because like, at least Fofana can pass a ball and he can run. So like, do you know, like in that regard, I would buy him, but I don't think United will be going back to Leicester to buy any players anytime soon, because like we'll be charged a premium. Like, I think the benchmark was sent for Harry Maguire like £80 million. So I think whether they go in for Fofana or not, I doubt it. But I think we're probably going to be looking abroad for a centre back this summer, I'd say.
Brilliant, Keane. Thanks very much. Good luck in the Europa League. I do like to see British teams do well, even though I did laugh my head off at Spurs the other night. But I do, if we're not in it, I would like to see British teams. And I do like Ollie, as you know. So good luck in the Europa League. Not so much good luck in the Premier League for obvious reasons. Thanks for coming on, and thanks for taking it on the chin tonight, mate. And we'll keep in touch, and we'll do something together again soon.
Yeah, absolutely. Look, thanks very much for having me on today, Chris, and nice to meet the two lads as well. And look, best of luck with the FA Cup, and hopefully you can help us stop Manchester City win that treble. And look, we'll definitely be in touch again. We'll do another show very, very soon.
We'll do our best. Thanks very much, mate. Take care.
Cheers, lads. See ya.
Cheers. Bye-bye. You see, you can't be horrible to a fan like that, can you? Do you know what I mean? He's gone now. Let's bitch about Man United. He made some very good points there, though, didn't he? And at the end of the day, you know, a lot of fans would go on and go, "Oh, the ref was against us," and what we outplayed them.
I thought so. I thought comprehensively, every department we were better than them. And again, you know, he didn't, for me, pick what I'd call a strongest team. I mean, you know, I look at why don't Chelsea start Giroud every week? So I think he's the best striker they've got, despite his age. I think Cavani at Manchester United, you know, if you want to win games, he needs to be starting because he's the best clinical striker they've got. So he's played Van der Beek. So we all know that, you know, he's not in, week out. So then it just suggests that he's thought he can come, you know, to the King Power and put out a team that's not quite his strongest and still get a result. So, you know, I think the blame on the result from a Man United perspective is definitely down to the manager for me tonight. And the reason we won is probably down to our manager with the team selection and the way he uses, you know, his substitutions. I thought it was absolutely fantastic.
Yeah. I was just going to ask you that, Brad. You know, we've criticised Brendan. You know, Josh said earlier, you know, people say, you know, football fans are fickle. I think being fickle goes with being a football fan, because players have good games and you moan because you lose, because we're passionate. And we've moaned about Brendan this season, but he got it spot on, didn't he, today? And the substitutions he made, you could see why he was doing it.
Yeah, you almost feel like that game that Brendan almost predicted to a T what Manchester United were going to come and do today. It's almost like going, right, lads, they're not going to have the likes of Bruno Fernandes. They're not going to have the likes of, you know, Rashford. So in the first half, we've got to get at them, you know, score a goal. Second half, get a second. Then expect the big boys, which they chucked on all in a row, absorb it. And if we can, nick a third, if not, see it out. And they just did that to a T. Like Julian said, it's tens all around. And, you know, I think fickle does come with football when you're a football fan, because you're just extra passionate. You see things through blue tinted glasses, red tinted glasses, you know, whatever colour, you know, your team playing. You sometimes get told you see them through your own eyes, but that's because that's what following football is all about. You see, you know, you see these players. I mean, who here, when Iniacho nicked the ball and took it round Henderson and slotted it in with an absolute show of perfection for confidence. You know, if you want to see a goal that defies confidence, Iniacho of old's missing that, I'm telling you, or he's not getting there or something. He gave me an extra smile on my face today. The performance was pleasing from start to front, and players like that were coming in and have been good for weeks. Continuing it was just fantastic. And like Julian says, we just beat them in every department, from defending to intensity to effort. We were the better side and came away from a game in such confidence. And I think that can, maybe this psychologically gives us a bit of an edge going forward in the Premier League. Because when it comes round to going, then we'd like to think that we're a bit further away from these teams, like Chelsea,
it's
like
almost
Manchester
like
United.
we don't want the international break to come. We just want to have another game next week, Julian. But you know, like the viewer said there, you know, this is without Barnes, this is without Maddison, this was without Ricardo. We've got this is without James Justin. I can go on. When those players come back, you better be watching out as other teams, haven't they?
Yeah, and you know, it's certainly going to be a headache to the manager how he brings these players back in. I mean, they were all deserving of the places before their injuries, and obviously now they've unfortunately had this period where they've been out, and the team's really hit the ground running. Like I say, for me, the most complete performance I've seen all season. You know, we're looking at Manchester United, who were second in the league, and we've beaten a fantastically strong team today. And we've always been a bit worried, are we going to finish in the top four? I mean, I feel more confident after today's performance that we are, because it seems like, you know, just bring whoever on and we can go out and give them a really good game. As far as the lads coming back in, I mean, probably a difficult one for Barnes with the shape change. For Maddison, he'll slot in where Perez is and do equally, or if not a better job, so not so much for him. But like, you know, then we have got these choices. So at the minute, we said earlier that, you know, the manager didn't have much of a choice for the team. He's all of a sudden going to have the choices, and then the choices from the bench to come on and improve, and whichever way the games are going for us, to make those perfect substitutions as he did today.
And I want to ask you this, Julian, again, because of you're an ex-player. I've always said, and I think Brad agrees with me here, is that, as you've just said, as good as these players were before they got injured, they shouldn't just automatically walk back into the team if the players that have replaced them are doing well. If the players that have replaced them aren't doing well, then yeah, fine, bring them in. But you know, how do you if it's not broken, why fix it, sort of thing. Martin O'Neill, what was his philosophy? Did he? If one of the big names came back, did he drop whoever had been in, or did that player have to earn that place back?
I don't recall us having that many injuries, but I think, you know, back then we didn't have probably the depth that we've got now, and obviously that depth's been tested to the absolute limits with the biggest, you know, the amount of injuries. I don't remember having more than 2 or 3 players who would be playing in the first team week in, week out, you know, being injured. It just didn't happen to us. We were quite fortunate at the time. But I think for Martin, it probably, you know, depended who it was. You know, obviously, like Steve Walsh was the one that we'd probably talk about, because he had more injuries than anyone. He always struggled with his knees and sometimes had to miss games because of that. And he was
that injuries or red cards, Julian?
Probably a mixture of both. But to be fair to him, he was such a presence on the pitch, such a leader right to the end of his career, that if he was fit and he was able to play, you probably would play him, you know. And so I think it's a case-by-case situation. Back then it was definitely, but Steve's probably a good example of someone that he was fit, he played, because, like I say, such a presence on the pitch, such a great leader. And as the game was a bit different then, and we were allowed to be more physical, obviously he was one of the more physical players, and I think that's what we did well back in those days. We really competed with people, you know, other than with ability.
Brad, I'm going to ask this of you because I agree with this totally, and it was great to see him come back today. I think, again, don't know who said this, Facebook user, I think Pratt is so underrated, and I would agree, and I think it's just unfortunate that players have done so well in his positions, but I rate Pratt.
Yeah, I don't actually think he's that underrated here at Leicester. I know a lot of fans that speak quite highly of Pratt, and I was one that was very excited to see him get on the pitch today and get him back in the mix. I think he was very keen from Leicester fans once they started hearing Brendan mentioning his name back on the training ground pitch, that they were eager, that he was hopefully going to get some form of minutes before this international break. You know, because it's nice to get a little bit of match sharpness in, isn't it? Because obviously he's not going to go away with the international squad. Because he's been out for so long, and that's the only bit of match he's had. It gives him a bit more time on that training ground whilst the lads are away, which will be a bit lighter for him because there won't be so many there through the international break. I think it was just nice to see. I don't think he's underrated. I just think due to his injuries always tend to be 4 to 6 weeks that he's out for, that's patterned his career a bit. You know, he's not got as much game time as we'd like to see, but when he has played, he's been a consistently good player. He's always showing something, and there's no way why, if he keeps coming back up, you know, like Julian said, yes, he'll have to work his way in, and he's not going to walk onto that team sheet every week. But if he can come back and get these performances, you know, when the minutes come for him, like he's going to have to wait and be patient and probably come off the bench a few more times. You know, that will give the players like Perez and that the encouragement to keep up their performances, because they won't want to suddenly find themselves on the bench in roles reversed.
So Alan Bennett's match ratings and man of the match. I don't think I think this is probably going to be the quickest one we've ever done of these, because I think we're just going to totally and utterly agree with this. This guy certainly got the man of the match of the BBC. Manager 10, team 10, Nacho man of the match. For me, yes, and yes. That sounded like I was having sex then, didn't it? yes. I wish.
All 3 seconds of it as well.
Yeah.
I could never make it last that long normally. You agree, Brad? Julian, would you agree with that? Not the 3 seconds. Not the 3 seconds. You agree with the...
We've all been there and done that. Don't worry about it. I feel like maybe I don't know if it's because I'm a defender that I probably feel like I can't give someone man of the match that high up the pitch. I thought he was excellent today. The goals, the all-round play, bringing people into the game. What he's doing with Vardy and Perez, as we spoke about, Sheffield United game, was absolutely fantastic. But for me, I was watching the game today, and I think it's probably just the way I look at games as a defender, is that the 2 guys in the middle of the park, I thought Tielemans dominated the game with the ball, and I thought indeed he dominated the game without the ball. I thought they were both exceptional today, and I think there'll be Premier League clubs and probably foreign clubs looking at them and eyes watering, thinking we need to get in and get these players. I thought they were immense, and they really set the tone for the game. So I'm not going to disagree with Alan, but for me, I'd probably just give it Ndidi today. I thought he really broke it up. And again, when you go and score 3 goals and you dominate a team, a guy like that probably goes under the radar a tiny little bit because he's doing the horrible little bits, and we're all watching people on the ball and all the skill and the goals and everything else. But I've got to say today, for the first time in a long time as well, I couldn't say anyone had an under par performance, which was amazing. It just all fell into place, and I wouldn't criticise any one of the players. I thought they were all immense today.
And that was something we said with Josh. You know, we said we don't actually would hate to be in Alan's shoes in actually having to pick a man of the match. And someone is saying here, have we got Southampton in back-to-back matches? I'm not sure. 17th, 18th of April, I think, is when the semis will be played.
That'll most likely get twisted or rearranged or something. No doubt they'll probably want that big thing. I think going back, I'm
guessing BT will have one and BBC will have one.
Yeah, you'd assume so, wouldn't you? And just adding to what Julian said, I think Julian made actually quite a good point that sometimes we do go on notice of what goes on in the middle of the park, the way to do it. I just think what it is with Iniacho that's really catching the eye is it's like we said, 4 to 6 weeks ago, he's now, this performance was a complete transformation from a Nacho that couldn't hold the ball up, too heavy with his touch, too slow in his movement, couldn't make a pass, would throw his arms up and not get back enough. It was a complete transformation. And I think that's, because we are a bit too quick sometimes to go, well, he scored 2 goals, so he must have been man of the match. When really, like Julian said, they were there's such a key cog component. And, Keane said it earlier when you asked him about Fofana. I think he was mugging us off with 120 million, saying that's all we'd get, because I think he's worth a lot more than that. And I think you'd struggle to get him away from Leicester. And if we can do what we're looking like we're doing, and that's a top 4 finish, and who knows what else now in the FA Cup, I think you're going to struggle to get them away, because they won't want to go themselves, let alone Leicester having a price match for them. And I think you saw that today. It all just falling slowly a bit more into place.
I'm just going to say that certainly on what Julian was saying, I think Inter Milan have been rumoured that they want to come in for Tielemans, but they want to offer us 34 million, which is like 6 million less than we paid for him. And what he's like now, I don't get the logic in that, Inter, but I don't think you're going to get them. I'm going to say thank you for joining us. I'm going to ask one last question of you both. Again, it's a one word answer. And I am rushing off. I'm going to admit I am rushing off, because I'm going to do what Julian did the other week. Julian had a birthday the other week, and apparently, and I saw his photos on Facebook, and my God, he had more alcohol than Everard. So I'll tell you, and I believe he was suffering the next morning. But I hope you had a good one anyway, Julian. But I am going to go and have something alcoholic and watch the return of Line of Duty. But the question is, and I'm going to ask you both this: Southampton versus Leicester, Man City versus Chelsea. Are we going to win the cup? Let's put it simply: are we going to win the cup? Brad first, yes or no?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Julian, are we going to finally be the bride?
Yes, we are. Definitely.
Yes. I do have a feeling, because we can get to the final, and if it goes all to what it should be on paper, then it's probably going to be Man City we play, but it's a one-off game, and like I say, people don't turn up, and we beat them 5-2 earlier in the season. I'm not saying that will happen at Wembley, but that would be a nice way to win the cup. Gentlemen, thank you both very, very much. You've got a weekend off next weekend. I think Julian will probably be trying to sort of get through his birthday drinks. I'm sure they'll hey, nice one, mate. Nice one. Water. That's the difference, you see. That's the difference. Hope you had a good one anyway, Julian. Thanks very much, mate. And we'll see you in a couple of weeks.
No worries. Thanks, guys. See you later.
Thanks a lot.
Cheers.
See you.
Cheers.
Thank you. Thanks as always to Julian. Great to have him on. And it's also great to have Brad on with his football knowledge. Thanks very much, mate.
Yeah, it's been a pleasure as always. We get to enjoy it. I'm going to enjoy it so everybody else can go off and enjoy it before the Monday comes around.
Yeah, and I think we'll all be watching Match of the Day tonight, won't we?
There's a strong possibility. I might have to take the highlights with me, watch them tomorrow as well in the morning.
There used to be a time, I was about to show my age there, because there used to be a time when you'd record it so you could watch it over and over again. Now, you just go straight to YouTube, don't you?
Yeah, it's amazing. I can do that. I'll definitely be doing that once we finish there. Well, now we finish this.
Brad, it's been great as always. Thanks so very much for coming on. Really appreciate that. Stay safe, buddy. And I'll speak to you probably before, but we'll see you back on here in a couple of weeks' time.
Yeah, I look forward to it. It's great to be on here as always. And you take care and look after yourself, Chris. And so everybody else that joins us on the show, look after yourself and take care. I'll see you.
You as well, Brad. You as well, mate.
I'll see you.
Take care.
See you in a few weeks, guys.
Cheers now. Bye-bye.
Cheers. Bye.
I was asked earlier, actually, if I was going to not have a shave until Leicester won the FA Cup. And I did jokingly say, well, it'd probably be down to my feet by then because we're destined not to win it. But who knows? We could actually win it. I think, don't know if you can say the names on the cup, but I definitely think we're in there with a shout. Wembley, here we come. We're going to Wembley. Yes, we are. Have a great night, guys. We're back on Tuesday. It's the football show with me and Josh. We're just going to be an open forum, and we're going to be talking anything Leicester City. And we've got a special guest on Tuesday, Jerry, if you remember him, Jerry Taggart. Yes, indeed. He'll be joining us for half an hour on Tuesday. So join me, Josh, and the big man himself, Jerry Taggart, on Tuesday for the Football Forum. 7 o'clock in all the usual places. And if you want to listen to this on catch up, remember we are all over the old podcasts with Apple, iTunes, Spotify, Anchor, and of course Google and the Podcast Addict. Hey guys, thanks for joining us. It wouldn't be worth doing if it wasn't for you guys. We'd probably still just come on and talk shit, and I don't know if we could ever get banged. We live in hope. Guys, see you Tuesday. Take care, stay safe, go off and celebrate, and watch Match of the Day. Good night now.
Hello, Matt Elliott here. Be sure to watch Leicester Till I Die TV on YouTube and follow all their social media platforms for all the latest updates and news on Leicester City Football Club.
Leicester Till I Die podcasts on the Apple iTunes, Spotify, Google, Anchor, and all podcast platforms.
Thanks for watching Leicester Till I Die. This is Chris saying goodbye and see you next time.